Parenting styles. Which one produces a dismissive avoiding child? Now, this takes two worlds together that's really important to me. The first one is attachment theory, which if you want to get background on it, you can look at the dismissive avoidant, the backstory of it. It has a good breakdown on attachment theory, but also dismissive avoidance at the same time. But it helped me understand myself, helped me understand how to be a better father, it helped me actually understand other people so I can know how to navigate through it. But then you have a parenting styles, which you can check out here. I did a background on parenting styles, but it's a huge part of me because I take care of my daughter full time and always trying to find ways to improve myself as an individual. But we'll talk about how I kind of fuse both of those things together in a little bit, but let me tell you a little bit about my channel. We have relationships, we have parenting, we have personal growth, and attachment theory. Now, this is really going to be combining the parenting, the part of it, and also the attachment theory part of it in a very creative way, which I'm very excited about it. And if you want to check out the other videos I've done with the smashing of attachment theories and parenting styles, check the description box below. But let's go first what a dismissive avoidant is before we start going to any more depth. So today we're going to be talking about dismissive avoidance. Now, if you really want to get more in depth in the video I spoke about in the intro, please check out attachment styles and attachment theories right here or in the description box below. But dismissive avoidance, just like the other three in secure and the secure attachment styles, so there's 4 attachment styles, I actually like to break it down on how they view themselves and how they view other people. Now, dismissive avoidants have a high view of themselves. They think highly of themselves, but they have a negative view of other people and trust in people. Now, this is caused because of usually from severe neglect. Now, not the neglect that you're thinking of, like they usually had the clothes on the bag, they had shelter, they had the physical things and needs they needed, but the emotional part was no connection. And probably because that parent had a fear in general that to have that connection, so that produced that same kind of fear in that child. Now that also that high view of themselves has a caveat. They have a high view of themselves because they found ways to actually make them feel worthy by all the accolades and the things they did outside of themselves. But they don't feel like they're worthy on their own most of the time. Because usually worthiness comes from some type of emotional connection and somebody coming and saying, I love you, you're worthy no matter what. And hearing a kid hearing that on multiple times. And dismissive avoidance, sadly, most of them haven't heard that maybe once and definitely haven't heard it multiple times. But so that's a dismissive avoidant, and they have a lot of caveats that's associated with it. Usually they're usually cold-hearted, they're always working, this is how they're perceived in ways. They are afraid of emotional, being vulnerable. They get defensive very highly if you start to find flaws in them. So there's a lot of things that can come from a dismissive avoidant. But let's talk about the parenting styles in general. Like, what is parenting styles? And then we'll talk about this mashup later. So now let's look at parenting styles. Now this has to give credit to a video that I saw on YouTube. I wish I remember who it was, because I would give them a shout out. But they broke down the 4 parenting styles, which is authoritative, authoritarian, don't get it mixed up because it's just the Aryan and the tative part is different, permissive, and also uninvolved and neglectful. And the best way to categorize that is using 2 different factors. First factor is going to be responsiveness, and the second one is control. Now, responsiveness has 2 parts you got to look for it as. It's how attuned was that parent to that child's needs. When the child was crying, did they get what they need? And just really understood like how to make just needs in general. But then there was a part of responsiveness is how well was that parenting listening to that child? When that child brings up a good point, did they just say, no, do as I say, not as I do? Or they were like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's see how we can incorporate what you're thinking into what I need to make sure that you're safe, and so we can go forward. And that's usually negotiating and communicating, listening, and meeting that child's emotional needs. I was at the dance studio for my daughter, and I was sitting down at the table waiting for her to get done, and I was asking this girl, like, hey, what's one thing as a parent could your parents do better if they could anything at all? It's a random girl I met. And she said that I wish they would listen more. So the responsiveness is huge for that child, but also the development as they get older. Now let's look at control. Now the control aspect is also in 2 different areas. That's how much control did that parent have of their life? Did they have like high expectations, and what kind of expectations they had to what they expect? Did they have a bedtime? Did they have structure? How much control did that parent have in that parent's life, that child's life? But then you had how much control did that parent have over their own emotions? Were they great one day and they were sporadic the other day? where they, if anything happened that like somebody, like a kid was trying to pour milk in their bowl and they drop it on accident, they just explode on them because they have their own issues they haven't covered. So those two factors really have a big play. And I'm really gonna do in the next part, which is gonna be really mashing the attachment styles and parenting styles from those two factors and also from what we learned from dismissive avoidant. I'm excited, let's do this. All right, so guys, let's try to put together parenting styles and also dismissive avoidant in the attachment styles. Now, I made this graph up, which is really did some explaining into those two factors and the attachment styles. I've done secure and I've done anxious, preoccupied, and you can check those videos below. But now the graph has to go with, you have control and responsiveness. Now, when you look at this graph, you look at the top right. In the top right, you have secure equals authoritative, which is going to be like the perfect parent, does everything right. But long as they're within that area of the graph, doesn't matter. They could be really control with high to medium responsiveness, then it's going to be in that part of the graph. And in literature, it's talked about how on the bottom right is going to be what fearful avoidant will equal uninvolved and neglectful parents. Again, we'll talk about that in another video. Now, we talked about with anxious, preoccupied, it's going to be in that bottom right corner and also in the top left, but only in a small section, which leaves dismissive avoidant. Dismissive avoidant, again, you gotta think about it, a lot of them had a lot of control, or at least a medium to high level of control, but the responsiveness wasn't there. And the responsiveness of just the emotional in that perspective. And so if you look at it, they're gonna be in that top left corner, but in the more of this little triangle section you see here, all right? Less responsiveness, high control. So again, that's when you get the situations where you have the book Tiger Mom, which you have somebody who has high control, but really, really low emotional connection and depth. This graph here really gives a good display of the control and also the responsiveness within each style, which I've never seen before. I made this up. Please, if you have any questions or any type of perspectives in the comments to perfect this, please let me know. And also, please like and subscribe to this video if you think the information that I've talked about before about dismissive avoidance, parenting styles, and also this graph that really kind of puts it all together, please let me know. But the final thoughts. So guys, the final thoughts. Again, I'm gonna say like and subscribe, so I'm gonna do it twice. Maybe I didn't get you the first time, I got you the second time. I'm always trying to find ways to become a better parent. Now, I don't think there's such thing as a perfect parent, but I do believe that constantly striving to continue to improve yourself, not just only for yourself, but for the people that are responsible for you, is the best kind of parent that can be. And so understanding how to use attachment styles to improve yourself, which is usually the most indicative problem that passes on to another child, is if you're insecure, you pass on usually insecure traits. But if you can improve yourself to become more secure and also learn what kind of behaviors will actually help a child become high likelihood of becoming secure, then you're putting that child in the best path available to make sure they become the best version of themselves and for the people around them. But as I end all my videos, please, if you have kids, slow down. I mean, time goes by so quickly. Time actually is measured by how much free time we have. And a lot of times as adults, this free time is at a premium. So understanding that whenever you get some time, slow down, give your kids a hug. When was the last time you did it? And tell them that they're worthy. Tell them that they're worthy just because they're alive, because they made you become a better person. They didn't just hear that once, they need to hear it on a consistent basis. All right, so I hope this video was important and actually adds value. And please let me know if there's anything, comments that you want to hear, or if you have any questions. And looking forward to seeing you in the next video.